and welcome to Vinyl Treasures. I'm your host, Johnny G, John Galindo, coming to you live each and every Saturday only here on Top Shelf Oldies. Want to welcome you to the March 16th, 2019 Vinyl Treasure Show. Beautiful day here, a little windy, but it was really warm yesterday. It was a little colder today, but it was really nice and sunny. Tomorrow I'm going to do my walk with Barbara around the Rockefeller Preserve. I got to do 40 minutes. I lost more weight. I think I lost 32 pounds in all. This is in a month, so that's pretty good, I'd say, and I'm happy to be here, feeling great. Hope you are too. We opened up tonight's Vinyl Treasure Show with tenor saxophonist Syl Austin, who recorded in a variety of genres over his long career. Started playing when he was 12 years old, then he moved to New York in his teens. He signed with Mercury Records in 1956, just played his fifth of 21 releases on the Mercury label, a song entitled He's a Real Gone Guy. That was first was done as a vocal by Nellie Lutcher back in 1947, and 10 years later, this one, May 57, for Syl Austin and his orchestra, Mercury Records. He's a real gone guy. Johnny G not gone till midnight at least, so sit back for the next 2 hours. We open up the vocal portion here with a cool girl group. It's been a while since I've featured this 45. I did find out some additional information, though. The publishing on this is C&H Music, and it is connected to the Halfum record label out of New York City, and one of the writer credits is Carol Williamson, and he was one of the owners of the Halfum label. A couple of rare records on that Halfum label, by the way, and he probably contracted with RCA Records to release this 45. Let's give it a spin here. We go back to November 1958. These are the Antoinettes on RCA, and their tune called Johnny.
Johnny, Johnny.
We open up with the Antoinettes singing about your host, Johnny G. November 1958 on the RCA record label. The name of the tune is called Johnny. Remember purchasing that sometime in the early 80s, $10 for that 45 from John Tefteller over in Grants Pass, Oregon. Used to look at his auctions in the Gold Mine magazine. He used to have a monthly auction. I forget when he started, but I was young when I was bidding on his auctions. Not really a lot of money, but he must have had quantity on that 45. But Halfum was a real small New York City label, and at one point RCA was pressing their 45s. I have another 45 on the Halfum label by a group called the Imperials, called Baltimore Serenade. They used RCA stampers. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. It's all 1950s and early 60s 45s tonight and next week. It's not the end of the month next week. It'll be, what, 1920, 25. It'll be the 25th. There's 31 days in March, right? No, January. Yes, there is. So next week will be 50s and early 60s. We feature a couple of up-tempos first here, and have quite a few flip sides from last week's Vinyltreasure Show. And last week I played a group called the Glow Tones on the East West label, their cover of the Q's The Girl I Love. And the flip side is interesting. It's a song written by John Mariscalco. Now, he wrote lots of tunes with co-wrote tunes with with another writer for Little Richard. Lots of hits. Good Golly Miss Molly, Ready Teddy, Rip It Up, Be My Guest for Fats Domino, Good Night My Love for Jesse Belvin, and so many others. But he wrote this song as the B-side to that Glow Tones 45 on East West. Let's give it a spin. September 57, the Glow Tones on East West. It's called Ping Pong.
Waka-do, waka, ping, pang, pong. I got a gal in old Hong Kong. Shing-a-ling song, ping pong, 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 shaka waka do waka, ping pong. I got a gal on the hill. She won't dance, but her sister will. Every Saturday night, 10:30, Miss Ping Pong, she starts to bop in, shing-a-ling song. Ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shaka waka do waka, ping pong. Miss Ping Pong wears a diamond ring. She walks down the street with a crazy swing. When it comes to hugging, the girls are wild. Miss Ping Pong, she do know how. Shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song. Ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, shaka waka do waka, ping pong. Miss Ping Pong like rock and roll, flip the white wig, when she go, go, go. When I take her home, she turn the lights down low. When she say goodnight, I hate to go. Oh, shing-a-ling song, ping pong, 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 shaka waka do waka, ping pong.
B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show. Those are the Glow Tones, September 1957. Ping Pong is the name of that one on the East West record label. I used to be able to play ping pong pretty good, but been out of practice for a while now. But anyway, that record originally came out, for you collectors out there, on the Atlantic label. The promos were sent out to the radio stations on Atlantic, but the stock copies all are on the East West label. Yes, I don't know if I've seen there are promo East-West copies. Yes, there are. I have seen those. Let's continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show. We count down the music chronologically here on the 50s and early 60s edition, and we go back to December 53 for this one. It's another flip side from last week. I featured the Robins on RCA, their sixth and final release for RCA. The song was called Get It Off Your Mind. It featured the bass of the group. That was Bobby Nunn. The flip features Grady Chapman. Let's give it a spin here. The Robins from December 1953. The Robins on RCA with Don't Stop Now.
Honey, hold me, ooh wee. feels so good, honey. Won't you, baby? Need you, darling. Must have you. Put your arms around me and love me tonight. I wanna love you, love you, love you, love you, hug you, hug you, hug you, hug you, kiss you, kiss you, kiss you, kiss you. All night long, honey. Hold me. Feel me, baby, kiss me. Don't stop now, 'cause it feels so good. I wanna love you, love you, love you, love you, hug you, hug you, hug you, hug you, kiss you, kiss you, kiss you, kiss you. All night long. Look at you.
That's Grady Chapman and the Robins there. That's their sixth and final release for the RCA record label. December's 53, the Robins with Don't Stop Now. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, we move into 1954. I talked about the group The Q's, was it last week, and how they backed up various artists to the like of Ruth Brown, Lavern Baker, Ivory Joe Hunter, Joe Turner, and others. And for each artist, they used a different name. And I think it was a gimmick that Atlantic came up with. The Rhythm Makers for Ruth Brown, the Gliders for Lavern Baker, the Ivory Tones for Ivory Joe Hunter, the Blue Kings for Joe Turner. But the Q's first record, they were backing up an artist by the name of Charlie White. Although Charlie did not get credit on the label, they called Charlie White and the Q's, they called them the Playboys. And here's the first of two they recorded on the Cat record label, a subsidiary of Atlantic Records. Let's go to August 54. These are the Playboys on Cat. It's called Rock, Moan, and Cry.
I wanna rock, I wanna moan, I wanna cry. Yes, I rock, I moan, and I wanna cry. Whenever I'm feeling lonely and there's no place to go, I only rock, I wanna rock, and then I moan and cry. Rock, rock, moan, and cry. Let everybody hear you. Oh, bounce and bounce around. Start rocking, start a moaning, and let the jazz come tumbling down. Everybody rock. I wanna rock, moan, I wanna moan and cry. Rock, rock, moan and cry. First I rock, and then I moan, then I cry. Rock, moan and cry. Whenever I'm tired of crying and feel close to dying, I start to rock, I wanna rock, and then I moan and cry. Oh, rock away your troubles when you're feeling blue. Start a rockin', start a moaning, cause that's the thing to do. Everybody rock, moan, and cry. I wanna rock, and then you moan and cry. Let everybody hear you. 4 miles and miles around. Start a rockin', start a moaning, and the tears come tumbling down. Everybody rock. I wanna rock, moan, I wanna moan and cry. Rock, moan and cry. I wanna rock, 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 moan and cry. When everything seems useless and you don't know what to do, I tell you to rock. I wanna rock, then moan, I wanna moan and cry.
Cha-cha-cha. Those are the Playboys. Playboys there. What did I say? No, lost my place. Charlie White on lead there. The Playboys, August 1954. That's the first of two. They recorded on the Cat label. Rock, Moan, and Cry is the name of the tune. And this Q's group, they also backed up Carmen Taylor as the Boleros. And this singer, Charlie White, the lead on this, he was first a member of the Dominoes. And I think he went to the Checkers. And then eventually he did join the Clovers. Yes, he did. Johnny G here spinning original vinyl 45s as we continue here. Lino was mentioning in the chat room my stream last week. The YouTube people, they run my show through a filter when I'm finished with the show, and they said that I played a Tony Sheridan and some group record. I did not. That record is like from 65 or 66, and it was a UK press. I did not play that, but sometimes their stupid filter, it reads, sometimes I could be singing a song and they can say that I have a copyright issue. It's not right. I think they have to fix that, and it messes up, people who really want to see the video, and they can't. I could see it, but nobody else could, so they banned it in all countries, and it's not working. They have an erase program that is not working for some reason. I think the next thing is I'd have to try to erase all the songs that are on there that have copyright infringement, but they let them play because they show their advertisements under my video. But I don't want to there's like 15 or 16 songs that have to be removed. I'm not doing it. So I'm going to continue to try to do it. Hopefully this one won't have any problems with it. That's the reason, Lino. Sorry about that. I have to apologize. You can go to vinyltreasures.net, though. You can actually download or stream that show there on my website. Let's continue here, and let's stay with the Q's. This time, they're backing up Dolores Evans Williams, but you know her as Lavern Baker. Now, the Q's are backing her up here as the Gliders, and this was a big R&B hit for her. It was number 2 on the Billboard R&B chart. It was her 5th of 33 releases for the Atlantic record label between 1953 and 1965. Let's go to September of 55 for Lavern Baker and the Gliders. It's on the Yellow and Black Atlantic label. It's called Play It Fair.
Give your heart to the one who gave her heart to you. If you must play the game, play it fair. Save your love for the one who saves her love for you. If you must play with love, play it fair. Oh, you don't have to be wise. No, you don't have to be so smart. Just to realize always true to you. If she's true, why can't you play it fair? Alone. So why not spend your time with someone whole young? Keep your mind on the one whose mind's always on you. If you must play the game, play it fair, play it fair.
Yeah, September 55 release there for Lavern Baker. Great Lavern Baker and the Gliders there, a.k.a. the Q's. Play It Fair, big R&B hit for her on Atlantic Records. Can see Alan Freed playing that 45 back in 1955. Unfortunately, we lost Lavern Baker on March 10th, 1997. And was unfortunate there that she passed away. As we continue here on the Vinyltreasure Show, last week I played the Nutmegs from the Nutmeg State. They're out of New Haven, Connecticut. I played their third release on Al Silver's Herald record label. Whispering Sorrows was the name of the tune. It featured Leroy Griffin on lead, but in a lot of places the disc jockeys were flipping the 45 over. They were playing the flip side because it's a jump, and most of the jumps were led by James Coco Tyson, who also wrote this song. We're going to give it a spin here from November 55, the great Nutmegs on Herald, and their tune is called Betty Lou.
Look at what you're doing to me. Ha ha, cha cha, dee 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 dee. Look at what you're doing to me. Please say what you, Betty Lou, woke me in my dreams last night. While sleeping, I was dreaming, grabbed and squeezed real tight. I was happy, I was dreaming, grabbed and squeezed you with all my might. Betty Lou, Betty Lou, Betty Lou, what's wrong with you? Betty Lou, Betty Lou, Betty Lou, what's wrong with you? If I could, I know I would grab you in my arms for the rest of my life. Ha ha cha cha dee 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 dee. Look at what you're doing to me. Ha ha cha cha dee 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 dee. Look at what you're doing to me. Betty Lou, Betty Lou, Betty Lou, what's wrong with you? Betty Lou, Betty Lou, Betty Lou, what's wrong with you? If I could, you know I would grab you in my arms for the rest of my life. Ha ha cha cha dee 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 dee. Baby, what you doing to me?
That's the third release there for the Nutmegs on the Herald record banner there. Betty Lou is the name of the tune. November 1955 release. James Coco Tyson on lead. I always thought that Leroy Griffin did all the leads. I found out George Tompkins told me, no, Johnny, you made a mistake. The flip side of You Make Me Lose My Mind, which is a record that my aunt used to play, that's not Leroy Griffin on lead. That is James Coco Tyson. I said, they sound the same. Well, they tried to sound the same, but he just did better on the jump sides. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. Let's continue here. One more out of 1955, and it's another B-side from last week. We go to Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label. I played the third of 12 for the great group called the Medallions. A song entitled Speedin' featured Vernon Green on lead. Now, the B-side was written by tenor Randolph Bryant, and he is doing lead on the B-side. Now, Vernon Green does the resuscitation similar to what he did on the song The Letter when he says sweet words of pismotality. Well, he does that on this side here. It's pretty interesting how he does that, but we previously heard Betty Lou. How about another girl group name here? This girl called Edna. We go to May 1955. These are the Medallions on Dutone with their tune called Edna.
Think of you each day, dream of you each night, dream of holding you. Oh, so tight. Please, Edna, say you will be my
I pray, I pray, each night and day. Oh, I pray, how could you leave me this way?
That song did get airplay over in Los Angeles, too. They were listening to both sides of that 45. The Medallions there, May 1955, Dutone. Dootsy Williams' Dutone record label, their tune called Edna. The third of 12 they recorded on the Dutone record label. Let's move on here on Vinyl Treasures. We move into 1956. Let's continue with more flips from last week. And again, it's another song about a girl's name. And this Harlem, New York group, they were known as the Inspirations. I played the intended B-side of this 45 last week. It was called Raindrops, the Crying Song. The A-side is an up-tempo. We go to Bess Berman's Apollo record label. Now, Jimmy Wright and his orchestra. They're providing the instrumentation. Jimmy played on all those releases on George Goldner's Rama and G record labels at this time, 1956. Guess he was moonlighting on Apollo Records for this one. And we heard Betty Lou, we heard Edna. How about we hear about Maggie? This one from April 1956. The Inspirations on Apollo with their tune called Maggie.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Everybody wanna talk to Maggie. 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 Well, she said, doo bop, chi bam, chi dilly bop, whoa, 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 doo bop, chi bam, chi dilly bop, doo bop, chi bam, chi dilly bop, whoa, doo bop, chi bam, chi dilly bop, doo bop, chi bam, chi dilly bop, whoa, 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 chi bam, chi dilly bop, oh, well, here come Maggie walking down the street. Well, she looks so groovy and smells so sweet. Well, that's my girl, yes, she's mine. I'm gonna love her, gonna squeeze her to the end of time. Do bop, chi bam, can dilly wop, whoa, 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 whoa,
That song sounds like it should have been released on the G or the Rama record label, but it was, hey, it's a blue label. It's Apollo Records, but it's not Rama Records. Same colors, but it sounds like it should be. George Goldner might have been upset about that one. The Inspirations there, April 1956. A song entitled Maggie. That's my mother's nickname. Her real name is Dominica, but they used to call her Maggie in school. She was class of 54, she was. But anyway, she's downstairs watching TV. I can blast these records. My father, a little bit hard of hearing, so he doesn't yell up anymore, so I can play the records. I used to play records for Dave the Rave really late. Used to blast them, and now he can't say anything. He doesn't hear it. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. Let's continue. This next group, they're from Newport News, Virginia, the same place the Great Five Keys originated from, and other groups like the Leaders and the Chateaus. They were also from Newport News, Virginia, but this group signed with RCA, with the RCA subsidiary Groove Records, and they released 3. I'm spinning their third on Groove. It features Raphael Ingram on lead, along with James Dozer. He does the bridge on this song. We go to October 1956, the Avalons. The Avalons on Groove. It's called It's Funny, But It's True.
You make me cry and make me feel
That's the unmistakable voice of Raphael Ingram. That high, I guess, falsetto voice there, but those are the Avalons, October 1956. On the Groove record label. It's funny, but it's true. That is their, what did I say? That's their third and final, no. That is the first of, no, what did I say? The first of three they recorded on the Groove record label. I think that is, as Johnny G was typing this late last night. But anyway, the Avalons, they had two more releases. A great one on the Unart label. I know many of you like that tune, Heart's Desire, in 1958. Then probably their rarest record came out on the Casino label in 1959. It's called You Can Count on Me. The flip side's nice on that one too. Johnny G here spinning 1950s original vinyl 45s. We are in the year 1956, and on last week's Vinyl Treasure Show, I featured the Monarchs on Neil and their tune called Pretty Little Girl. It was a request for Ron and Dorothy listening up in Michigan, and this week they requested the B-side of the 45, which I think is also an excellent side by the group. This group consisted of Robert Galloway, Arthur Allen, Arthur Kemp, and Robert White. They get writer credit on both sides of this release. And we go to January of 1956 on the Neil record label, requested by Ron and Dorothy. These are the Monarchs with a B-side. It's called In My Younger Days.
In my younger days, when I was on my spree, all my friends used to say, as they looked at me, I used to kiss my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, down. Now in my olden days, and I can't get around, and I seem to be just like a clown. I cannot kiss my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, down. I go around in a day, nobody else knows I seem to see. She's got me lost in a maze. Oh, where can she be? And as I turned around and looked their way, I can hear them say, she has gone away. I cannot kiss my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, time. I go around in a day, nobody else knows I seem to see. She's got me lost in a maze. Oh, where can she be? Now as I turned around and looked their way, I can hear them say, she has gone away. I cannot kiss my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, oh my baby, time. Oh,
By request for Ron and Dorothy listening up in the state of Michigan. Is it cold up there? They said they were having snow in parts of the United States today. Some terrible blustery weather. Not blustery would be hot. Anyway, that's a cool B-side there. The Monarchs, January 1956. In My Younger Days is the name of that one on the Neil record label. Always Be Faithful is a nice record they do also. You collectors out there, the first press of that, the Neil logo is smaller. And I don't know where I got this one. Every time I found this record locally, it was always trash. People played the crap out of the record. But I won a couple copies on eBay, I think, that play really nice. That one plays really nice. But the bigger logo, that is really a second, I'm not going to say a second press, but like a later pressing of the record. Johnny G here, trying to educate you new collectors out there as we continue here. Up next, a request for Rick in Philly. Say hi to Rick. He's currently in the Top Shelf Oldies chat. This request on George Goldner's G record label. And I don't have much info on this group, though. It appears to be their only release. Both sides of the 45 give credit to owner Goldner and James Parker, who's a member of this group, and he could be the lead, I'm not sure, but Jimmy Wright and the orchestra, they're back here on this 45. We send it out to Rick in Philly. This was his request from May 1956. These are the Mellow Keys. The Mellow Keys on G. It's called Listen Baby.
Boom, boom, boom.
Listen, baby, to my plea. Bring your love right back to me. Oh, my darling, we were meant to be. Won't you give me one more try while that sweet love passes by? Listen, baby, listen to my cry. You won't be sorry, dear. No, you won't regret it. Hey, I say you won't be sorry, darling. You will forgive and forget again. Listen, baby, to your heart. Hear it saying we can't part. Listen, baby, listen to the one you love. Won't you give me one more try while that sweet love passes by? Listen, baby, listen to try. You won't be sorry, dear. No, you won't regret it. Hey, I say you won't be sorry, darling. You will forgive and forget again. Listen, baby, to your heart. Hear it saying we can't part. Listen, baby, listen to the one you love. Listen, baby. Listen, baby. Listen to the one you love.
May 1956. There, that's a cool tune there by the Mellow Keys. Requested by Rick in Philly. Listen Baby is the name of that one. Lino in watching the webcam, in the chat room in the webcam, one of his favorite tunes also. That one there, George Goldner's G record label. Jimmy Wright and the orchestra. That saxophone is great. Love listening to Jimmy Wright and the orchestra on all those records. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We continue and filled a request last week for Ron and Dorothy. They wanted to hear the Whirlers on the Whirling Disc record label, the song called Tonight and Forever. Now, the flip side is a re-recording of their second release that came out on the Harlem label in April 1955 when they were known as the Empires. Now, for this release, Bobby Robinson's changed their name from the Empires to the Whirlers. This one from May of 1957. We're going to give it a spin here. John Barnes, he's on lead. Give a listen to the Whirlers on Whirling Disc and their re-sung version of Magic Mirror.
Do, 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 do.
Magic mirror on the wall,
fairest of them all. Oh, tell me, magic mirror on the wall. Magic mirror on the wall. Do you think she loves me at all? Oh, tell me, magic mirror on the wall. Will she be mine, just to have and to hold, just as long as I live, till death do us part? Tell me, mirror on the wall, does she love me? Magic mirror on the wall, is she the fairest of them all? Oh, tell me, magic mirror on the wall.
Yeah, that sounds good. A couple scratches at the end there, but sounds pretty good. Good to hear that record again. Those are the Whirlers, May 1957, Magic Mirror on Whirling Disc, Bobby Robinson's Whirling Disc record label. John Barnes is on lead there. They originally recorded it as the Empires on the Harlem record label back in April of 1955. Let's stay in the year of 1957. Got another 45 flip side that I played last week by a group called the Starlarks. They were out of New Haven, Connecticut. I featured it on Al Silver's Ember label. Great tune they do called Fountain of Love. Originally came out on the local Elm label. Very hard to find, at least clean, on the Elm label, which I do own, but my promo Ember 45 plays much better than the styrene press. I hate styrene 45s, by the way, if you don't know by now. But anyway, let's give a listen to the B-side of the 45, which was written by the lead singer. His name is Wes Forbes. We go to January 57 with a B-side for the Starlarks on Ember. Send me a picture, baby.
Well, I was overseas and all alone. I wanted a picture from my baby back home. Well, send me a picture, baby, till I come back home. Till I love all my baby. Baby, baby, I won't be long. Save your love till I come home. Oh, send me a picture, baby, till I come back home. Say sincerely I love you, you're my very own. Baby, baby, I won't be long. Save your love till I come home. Oh, send me a picture, baby, till I come back home. Say sincerely I love you, you're my very own. Well, send me a picture, baby, till I come back home. Yeah, send me a picture, baby, till I come back home. Say, sincerely I love you.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Starlarks. The Starlarks. Wes Forbes, he's on lead. That's the B-side to Fountain of Love. Send me a picture. Send me a picture. Pictures last longer. That is for sure. That's on the featured on the Ember label, Ember promo there from January 1957. We stay in 57 now with another B-side again from last week. Lots of good sided records, two-sided 45s I featured for the last couple of weeks. This group, they're from Brooklyn, New York. They had this lone 45 on the New York City True Light record label. Gotta ask Linda Gaeta, do you know where this address is? 117 West 70th Street. I wouldn't know how to get there if you were giving me money. I wouldn't know how to get there. Would have loved to have been there though in the 1950s, but that's where this record label True Light was out of. I featured the A side. It was called Fat Mommy-O. Featured it on the original label, the original release from 57. Now, the B-side is a pretty nice ballad. As we give it a spin here, it features Willie Kalia on lead. Let's give a listen to the Chalets. The Chalets on True Light. It's called Who's Laughing?
Who's laughing?
Who's laughing? Who's crying?
Who's
lonesome and blue? Who's laughing? Who's crying? Who's lonesome and blue? Love is ending. Please say it's not true. Can't hide it. I'm so much in love with you. I'm so in love.
B-sides here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Those are the Chalets. 1957 release. Featured it on the original label True Light Records. Got to be careful of that second press of that record. Slim Rose pressing them up in Times Square Records. Who's Laughing is the name of that one. The group out of Brooklyn, New York. Of course, the A side is Fat Mommy-O, the up-tempo side. That reminded me of like a little bit of I Walk the Streets Alone by the Love Letters. That's another pretty good 45. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We are continuing here. Let's go back out of place one record here. We go back to 1956, and this group is on, again, back to the Ember label, Al Silver's Ember Records. They're called the Concords. They're not the group from Brooklyn that recorded for RCA and Epic. Some think, though, that this could be the same Concords group that recorded on the New York City Harlem label, minus the lead singer, Milton Love, but the writer credits are Big Bob Cornegay and Bob Washington. So let's give a listen to this one. We go back to August 1956, back to Ember Records. I have it on the red stock here. The Concords, it's called Satisfied with Rock and Roll.
Just rock, rubber ball roll, rock and roll record satisfy my soul, satisfied, 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 satisfied. This rock and roll really satisfies. Well, a saxophone with a good backbeat, a drugstore on the corner where all the kids are me. I'm satisfied. Drive this rock and roll away. I'm hoping and I'm praying that it's here to stay. I'm satisfied. Ooh, satisfied. Satisfied. I'm satisfied. This rock and roll really satisfies. This rock and roll really satisfies. This rock and roll.
Yeah, those are the Concords. It's pretty cool up-tempo there. The Concords on Al Silver's Ember record label, August 56 release, Satisfied with Rock and Roll is the name of the tune. Hopefully you're satisfied with Johnny G's Vinyltreasure this evening, playing some cool 45s. I hope you're digging on the cool tunes here. Now here's another request for Rick in Philly. He wanted to hear this group from Inglewood, New Jersey. They formed while they were students at Inglewood High School. They were named after a river in England. Yes, they were. And they had 7 releases on B. Caslin's Hull record label. Now, Rick requested their second release. It features Bob Lee on lead. We go to March of 1957. This is Hull Records by request for Rick. Give a listen to the Avons and their tune called Baby.
Ooh, baby. Ooh, wee, ooh, baby. Ooh, wee. I want her to be as sweet as a baby. Just for me, I knew from the start, if anyone could be, it was you, baby, it was you. I love you, my baby. I love you so, I want you, my baby. Want you to know, ooh, baby, ooh, wee.
'cause each time I remember our first love, so full of bliss, a flaming ember with I love you, baby. I love you so well. I want you, baby. Want you to know. Ooh, baby. Ooh, baby. Baby, it was you. Ooh, baby.
That's another 45 I could never, ever find clean. I had to decide, do I want to play one with that sounded a bit clearer but a even surface noise through it, or did I want to play one that maybe was maybe a little bit clearer, but the pops in it just was distracting. So anyway, I was caught between a rock and a hard place on that one, but that's a great request for Rick in Philly. A great tune there by the Avons. Bob Leah on lead, March 1957. Hull Records, their tune called Baby. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We continue. I think last St. Patty's Day I played all records on green labels. I didn't really think about that. It was too busy. I'm too busy at work, working on the business plan. It's going to be busy next week, but need a break listening to these cool 45. Let's continue here. Let's move into 1958 now. Now, last week I filled a request for Mady Campboy, listener out in California. She requested this group from Brooklyn, New York. She requested the B-side of their Only 45 on Bobby Robinson's Fury label, the ballad, a great ballad called Baby I Love You. Now, the A-side got lots and lots of airplay here in the New York area. I used to hear it all the time on oldies radio also, and it probably was one of the big sellers in Times Square Records too, on the Fury reissue label that was put out in the early 1960s. But you got to have it on the maroon Fury label, the true original. But this group called the Du Mauriers. Let's give a listen to the A-side. They were named after a brand of Canadian cigarettes, Du Maurier cigarettes. We go to March of 1958. The Du Mauriers on Fury with All Night Long.
All night long.
Those are the DeMauriers with All Night Long. Norman Knight used to play it on his Night Train show all the time. That record, used to hear it also on CBS FM. Don K. Reed would feature it. You don't hear it anymore. I don't know if you could even hear it during the day on the 50s on 5. I know you'll probably hear it at Cool Bobby B. I'm sure he'll play the 45. But anyway, or the song, not the 45. Anyway, that's March 1958, the DeMauriers. That's the A side of the 45, All Night Long, on Bobby Robinson's Fury record label. That's another label that Johnny G collects. I'm missing very few records on the Fury label, but they're hard. They are very hard. As we continue here on Vinyl Treasures, and we continue with the flip sides, I played this rare 45, came out on Steve Samuel's High Tone label out of New York City. I played the intended B-side. It was a jump called Chinese Boogie. Now, the intended A-side is a nice ballad. It's with the Steve Samuel Orchestra. Now, this side features Frank Anderson on organ. On the flip side, on Chinese Boogie, I think he was playing piano, but he's playing organ this time. Let's go back to November of 58 for the High Tones. On the High Tone label, it's called I'm a Fool.
I know I broke your heart, for this I must pay. How I remember, dear, the night you went away. Yes, I broke a lover's rule, for this I've been a fool. I've been a fool. I can't I know that I was wrong. With you I tried to play a game, but I played the game too long. And now I broke a lover's rule. For this I've been a fool. I've been a fool. Well, darling, yes, I wipe away the tears as I dream of you every night. I remember how things would have been, my dear, if only I treated you right. Yes, this loneliness, my darling, is driving me insane. It reminds me of the things I did and the way you call my name. Yes, I broke a lover's rule. For this I've been a fool. I've been a fool. My darling is driving me insane. It reminds me of the things I did and the way you call my name. Yes, I broke a lover's rule. For this I've been a fool. I've been a fool.
Yeah, that's a cool tune there. Expensive 45. Bought that from Louis Silvani, Times Square Records, sometime in the early 1990s. High Tones there, November 1958. I'm a Fool is the name of that one. Comes out on the High Tone record label out of New York City. We continue here. We're spinning 45s out of the year 1958. Have another request for Ron and Dorothy, this group from Salisbury, Maryland. They were discovered by Bobby Freeman and his manager Walt Summers, who took them to New York City to record for Bell Sound Studios, and they signed with Morris Levy's Roulette record label. Now, the lead of the group, his name was Howard Timothy Wilson. He was just 15 years old when he recorded these sides that were released on the Roulette record label. And by request for Ron and Dorothy, we're going to give a spin to Tiny Tim and the Hits and the B-side of their release on Roulette Records. We go back to November of 1958. Tiny Tim and the Hits on Roulette with a song called Doll Baby.
Baby, 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 bum-bo-da-doo-da-doo, baby, 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 bum-bo-da-doo-da-doo.
Doll baby, you're my doll-faced girl. Oh, doll baby, you're my doll-faced girl. You're the sweetest girl in this whole wide world. Doll baby, call me on the telephone. Oh, doll baby, call me on the telephone. If I'm not working, then you know I will be home. Well, just the other day I saw you walking down the street with your great big eyes and wavy hair.
Baby, you are
Oh, doll baby, you're my doll-faced girl. You're the sweetest girl in this whole wide world. Well, just the other day I saw you walking down the street with your great big eyes and wavy hair.
baby, you are
Oh, doll baby, you're my doll-faced girl. You're the sweetest girl in this whole wide world.
By request for Ron and Dorothy up in Michigan, they wanted to hear Tiny Tim and the Hits there with a B-side. November 1958 release. Doll Baby is the name of that one. Morris Levy's Roulette record label. Now, the A-side of the 45 is a song entitled Wedding Bells, and unfortunate that Timmy Wilson, a.k.a. Timothy Wilson, a.k.a. Tiny Timmy, passed away from cancer April 22nd, 2017 at the age of 73. Now, this record was also recorded, I think, in 1959 by the Paragons. They do a song called Doll Baby. I don't know if the words, Charlene said the words are not exact, but it is very similar to that, and Paul Winley gets the writer credit, so I say it is. But thank you for that request, Ron and Dorothy, as we continue here. And on the last Final Treasure Show, I played a dedication for Ron to his wife Dorothy. The song was called Dorothy by a group known as the High Fives. They were from Bergen County, New Jersey. It was their second of three they recorded for the Decca label. But I also like the B-side of the 45. It's a nice ballad. Features Dave Brigatti on lead. Let's go back to May of 58 for the High Fives with a B-side on the Decca label. It's called Just a Shoulder to Cry On.
Cry on my shoulder.
Cry, cry.
I'm just a shoulder to cry on for you. You don't think about me, just about you. I'm just a shoulder to cry
I'm for you. So cry, cry, cry out your eyes. You run to me when he breaks your heart. You tell me the story right from the start. What can I do? I love you with all my heart. On my shoulder, go ahead and cry. It doesn't matter if I live or die. Cry on my shoulder, cry, cry, cry. Maybe I'll say goodbye. I'm just a shoulder to cry on for you. You don't think about me, just about you. I'm just a shoulder to cry on for you. So cry, cry, cry.
That's a nice ballad. Warren likes that one. Daryl likes that one. I like that one. Those are the high fives with a great B-side, Just a Shoulder to Cry On. That's their second of three. From May of 1958 on the Decca record banner. And Lenny Dell and the Dimensions, they do a nice version of that song. Also came out on the Coral label in 1963. They do a nice version of that too. Johnny G here, spinning original vinyl 45s. We are in the year of 1958, and I played a national hit last week. Just made it into the top 40, did better regionally, did better here in New York City. My aunt bought the 45. Remembered the song reminds me of my late aunt. Now she purchased this 45 in the summer of 1958. I played Crazy Eyes for You by Bobby Hamilton, an artist from Locust Valley, Long Island. And she would always play her B-sides to her 45. Some weren't so good, but many of the 50s and early 60s were good. They put a lot of effort into their B-sides, not so much so in the latter 60s and through the 70s and 80s. They were like throwaways. When I worked for Sony Music, they were telling me, we don't spend a lot of time on the B-sides. They're just throwaway records. And Columbia even put the same song on both sides, so there was not really a B-side. But in the 50s and early 60s, I think they did put a lot of effort in their B-sides, especially if the disc jockeys were flipping the records over too and playing the B-sides, and it was like a free-for-all out there. If you liked the record, you played it, or if you got paid to play it, you did. I never got paid to play any records anyway. But anyway, she would always play her flip sides, and so do I. And I had to teach Dave the Rave to do the same thing because he never did. I said, Johnny, I don't play my flip sides. I said, you don't? You have this record. I do. Yeah, you do. Anyway, let's flip over that Crazy Eyes for You, that debut single for Bobby Hamilton. We go to June of 58 on the Apt record label. We flip it over. Bobby Hamilton, a song entitled While Walking Together, Thinking of Love.
While walking together in good or bad weather, you know what we're both thinking of. We're thinking of love.
B-sides here on the Vinyltreasure Show. My aunt's copy of that would skip at one point. I got it out. I played around with the groove to get it out because her records are trashed. Some of them, at least the older ones, are trash. But anyway, that does remind me a lot of my late Aunt Mary there. The Bobby Hamilton there, June 1958. That's the B-side to Crazy Eyes for You, while walking together on Apt Records, ABC Paramount subsidiary. Let's continue here. Let's stay in the year of 58. Let's stay in Long Island, this time Valley Stream, Long Island. That's where my sister-in-law is from, Valley Stream, Long Island. Now, this group, they made their debut single in 1958. It was their signature song, and their biggest hit came out on Lou Fargo's Fargo label. I'm sure you know the song. It was a big hit for them. It was called You. But did you ever listen to the follow-up to that record, which unfortunately was not a hit for them? And it features Lynn Nixon on lead. We go back to May of 58. Give a listen to the Aquatones. This is their follow-up to their hit You. It's on Fargo Records. The song is called Say You'll Be Mine.
I need you so, don't ever, ever go away from me. Say you'll be mine, say you'll be true, don't ever leave me for someone. My heart is aching, it's almost breaking for you. Life without you would be so sad. I'd wish for love I never had. Please say you want me. You know you're driving me mad. It seems to me there shouldn't be this growing ache in my heart. What can be the matter? I keep growing sadder each day. Long day we're apart. Please say you realize all of is true. Say you'll be mine. Don't leave me blue. My days of joy won't end if I have you. Say you'll be mine. Say you'll be mine. Say you'll be mine.
That's the follow-up to You. Those are the Aquatones with Lynn Nixon. She's on lead there, May 1958. Their second release on the Fargo record label. Say You'll Be Mine is the name of that one. That's actually the second of 8. They have 8 releases on the Fargo label, but none achieved the success of their hit You. Unfortunate that Lynn Nixon, she passed away in January of 2001. I forget the guy's name, Dave something. I forget his last name, but he was heartbroken when that happened because he wanted to put the group together. I think he has since found someone to take her place in the group, and they were at one point still out there performing at oldies concerts. I don't know about now, but I did read about that today. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We continue here. Wasn't going to play this record because the condition really isn't that good, but I like the song. Now, back to New Haven, Connecticut, and when Fred Paris, lead singer of the Five Satins, went into the service, his replacement was Bill Baker, but Bill did not do lead on all the releases. He started out, I think his first lead was with the song To the Isle on the Ember record label, but the follow-up to their first Ember release in the Still of the Night was a song called Wonderful Girl, which featured Fred Paris on lead. But after Bill Baker left the Five Satins, he was recording with a group called the Chestnuts, and they had 2 releases on Clarence Drum's Elgin label, and their second release was a reworking of that song Wonderful Girl that was led by Fred Paris. So Bill Baker said, well, I'm going to do this song. I'm going to try it out with my group, the Chestnuts. So he also gave himself writer credits. I know there was bad blood at one point between Bill Baker and the other members of the Five Satins. And maybe this was one of the reasons, I don't know. But the song, even though it was originally written by Jim Freeman, they don't give him credit on this. It was Bill Baker that did get credit on this 45, which was not right. But let's give a listen to this tune from April of 59. It's Bill Baker and the Chestnuts on Elgin with his version of Wonderful Girl.
Kiss my lips, hold my hand, tell me you love me, I'm your lover man, I'm in love, I'm in love, wonderful girl. My heart is in pain. Oh, for my love, is it all in vain? I'm in love, I'm in love, wonderful girl. Oh yes, wonderful girl. And when I get that feeling,
When I get that feeling now,
up and down my spine,
up and down my spine,
that same,
that
same old feeling
doggone feeling,
that makes me lose my mind, my mind. You're my love, you're my love. Yes, I swear by stars above, I'm in love, I'm in love with a wonderful girl. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful
Cover tunes here on the Vinyltreasure Show. So authentic with those pops and crackles, which didn't sound that bad. The label looks pretty horrible, but it plays somewhat decent, I guess. That's Bill Baker and the Chestnuts version of Wonderful Girl. Came out on the Elgin label from April of 1959. Anyway, Johnny G here for a Saturday evening as we continue here. A couple records out of 1959. Any of you familiar with an actor by the name of John Ashley? He acted in films for American International Pictures, those kind of like hot rod films, and I think he did Drag Strip Girl and Motorcycle Gang back in 1957, Suicide Battalion and Frankenstein's Daughter in 1958. He also played in a bunch of those beach party movies with Frankie and Annette. He used to be in all those, but he was also a singer. He first recorded in 1957 on the Instro label. He has 4 releases on Dot Records. Then he did 2 on Jerry K. Parts' Silver label. We're going to give a listen to his second 2nd, written by Johnny Burnett. Now, the group backing him up on this are supposed to be the Four Dots. Four Dots were recorded on the Freedom label. They got a great record called Pleading for Your Love, and Eddie Cochran supposedly is playing guitar on this. That's what I read, and that's what Charlene read. But let's give it a spin here from October 59. It's John Ashley on silver. It's called Seriously in Love.
Seriously in love. Seriously in love. You, my lonely one. My only one. As bright a star. With eyes as true as the ocean blue. That's why I'm serious over you. Oh, please hold me tight. Don't let me go. Not tonight. I see the tears that cry, and I see the lips that try not to say goodbye. And that's why I'm so serious. I'm serious over you. You, my lovely one. You, my only one. Brightest star. With eyes true as the ocean blue. That's why I'm serious. Whoa, over you.
October 59 release there. Actor, singer John Ashley and the Four Dots in the background. Nice vocal style in the background there. Seriously in Love is the name of that one on this Silver record label, Jerry Capehart's Silver Records. Got a lot of records on that label, believe it or not. Kind of rockers, cool tunes on there. But anyway, unfortunate that we lost John Ashley October 3rd, 1977. He was only 62. He died from a heart attack. And but that's a cool record he does. I bought that from Joel Scherzer when he was first selling out his collection way back in the early 1980s. I forget where he got my name from. He bought a list from somebody, and he sent me this. It was a typed out list. He typed it out on his on the typewriter. He typed it out back, and it was half. Some things were crossed out because they were already auctioned off, and I bid on all these records like $1.75, $2.22, $5.14. I won thousands of records that he had. That was one of them anyway. Johnny G babbling on here for a Saturday evening. We continue. Up next is the rarest 45 I'm featuring for the evening. It's a pretty rare record for you collectors out there. It's out of Columbus, Ohio, and it actually mentions on the label Introducing Morris Wade. I would have scanned this 45 and posted it up on my Facebook wall. Now, Morris Wade, he was the lead singer of the Columbus Pharaohs, a.k.a. the Four Pharaohs. They do a great ballad called Give Me Your Love. The Columbus Pharaohs releases on Esta. You can also get it on the Ransom label. Also, you can get it on, I think I played it recently on Bruce Records, I think it was. But anyway, this one's on Ransom. It mentions Music by the Manhattans. Now, that instrumental group also at this time, in early 59, were backing up Sonny Till and his Orioles, wherever they were in 1959 at this time. But here they are backing up Morris Wade, and I think the Pharaohs are 4 Pharaohs backing them up on this. It's early 59. Morris Wade on Ransom. It's called Is It Too Late?
Is it too late for us to start anew? I'm no good without you. Is it too late? I'd like to know why do you mistreat me so? Mistreat me so. You know my heart refused to let you go. Say it's not too late. It's not too late. I'm lonesome for you. Oh, my darling, help me, please do. Tell me that you still care. Let us spend our love affair. Being stubborn gets us nowhere. Say it's not too late. It's not too late. Good without you. Say it's not too late.
Rare 45s for a Saturday evening. That's what they used to say on the Time Capsule Show from the Collector's Corner from 1959 there. That's Morris Wade and somebody actually put in pen here. Shouldn't have done that. The 4 Pharaohs. Early 1959, It's Too Late on the Ransom record label. That's a Rare 45. We continue here. We move into 1960 for this girl group from North Philadelphia. They put out 2 45s on Larry Kerin's Mask label. Now, the members were comprised of 2 sisters, Marion and Rebecca Warren, and their 3 girlfriends, Barbara Washington, Rhoda Perry, and Sylvia Butler. Collectively, they were known as the Baby Dolls. Let's give a listen to the A-side of their first release. It features Marion Warren on lead. Let's go back to October of 1960. It's on the Mask label. These are the Baby Dolls with Go Away, Baby.
Go away, baby, go.
That girl group out of North Philadelphia, they're called the Baby Dolls. That's their first release on the Mask record label, Larry Kerin's Mask Records, October 1960. Go Away Baby is the name of the tune. Their second one is pretty nice too. It's on a yellow Mask label. It's called Thanks Mr. DJ. Jocko Henderson has a cameo at the end of the record. You can hear him. I saw that in the box. I'll pull that one out for a future Vinyl Treasure show. As we continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. Up next, a request for Matey Campboy, this group from San Pedro, California. They formed while attending high school. They were managed by Chuck Markolis. He also managed the Galahads. That's another great group. Now, this is on Larry Nelson's Night Owl label, and it's a cover first recorded by Don Julian and the Meadowlarks back in 1955. We move all the way up to November of 1960 by request for Matey Campboy, listening over in California. The lead singer is Arthur Lee Sprewell. This one on Night Owl Records. Let's give a listen to The Chants from 1960, their rendition of the tune Heaven and Paradise.
Heaven and paradise, that's where I want to be. Just you, oh, and me in heaven and paradise. Oh, roses are red, oh, violets are blue. God only knows how much I love you, darling, my dear. I love you so. Never let you go, let you go. Paradise, that's where I want to be. Just you, oh, and me in heaven and paradise. Oh, paradise.
Roses are red, violets are blue. God only knows how I love you, Johnny, my dear. I love you so. Never let you go.
That's where I want to be. That's where I want to be. In love with you. In love with.
By request for Matey Campboy. That's a great cover tune there by The Chants. The Chants, Arthur Lee Sprewell, he's on lead, November 1960. The Chants on the Night Owl label, Heaven and Paradise. I have that one also on a blue vinyl, but that one played stone mint, that copy. That is a great request. Thank you, Matey, for requesting that one. Let's continue here on the Vinyl Treasure Show. We are in the year 1960. On last week's show, I featured a group called The Dwellers. This group from Detroit, Michigan. I featured it on the Conrose label. I played the intended B-side of the 45. It was called Come Home Right Away. It was written by the lead singer. His name is Clifton right. He also wrote the A-side, and we're going to give it a spin here. He is on lead, and we're going to listen to this before it goes back down in the no humidity basement. April 1960. Give a listen to the Dwellers on Conrose. It's called Lonely Guy.
Darling, I'm the lonely guy. Every night I lay and cry because I don't have love to share, and I don't have one to care for me. Say a prayer and ask God to guide you to me, my dear, because I don't have love to share, and I don't have one to care for me. I guess I'll go to river, jump in and drown. Ain't no use to me hanging around. I'll hang myself from a tall oak tree because there ain't nobody cares for me. Every night I say a prayer and ask God to guide you to me, my dear, because I don't have love to share, and I don't have one to care for me. I'm the lonely guy.
Warren, to answer your question, not the same group that recorded on Oasis. They were from Columbus, Ohio, or Cincinnati, Ohio, somewhere in Ohio. This group's from Detroit. Nice ballad there by the Dwellers. Jerry Diaz sold me that record. I don't want to tell you the price. But anyway, the Dwellers there, April 1960, Lonely Guy, on the Conrose record label. Let's continue now. In the early 1960s, Richard Barrett, he was previously the lead of the Valentines on the Rama label, had left Goldner's Empire but was still managing a number of groups like the Chantels. They were recording for Carlton Records at the time, the Imperials, and several other acts, as well as doing his own recordings. Now, one of the acts that he was managing was called the Casals, and they were a duo of Jimmy Castor and Tony Salveggi. They recorded for the Seville record label. He got them a recording contract, Barrett, with Seville Records, but Richard also signed with Seville and put out 145, and he used a vocal group from 124th Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem and called them the Sevilles. He named them after the label, and he wrote this tune here. We're going to go to February of 1960 for Richard Barrett and the Sevilles on the Seville label, and their tune called I Am Yours.
I am yours. I'm yours. I am yours. I'm yours. You are my only love.
June 1960 release there for Richard Barrett. No, I'm sorry. February 1960. I'm looking at the record below. February 1960 for Richard Barrett and the Sevilles. A song entitled I Am Yours on the Seville record label. What were the big records on Seville? Bobby's Girl by Marcy Blaine and Shout, Shout, Knock Yourself Out on Seville. What else was a big hit on the Seville record label? Anyway, if you can think of it. Unfortunate that Richard Barrett, he passed away August 3rd, 2006 at the age of 73 from pancreatic cancer. But I really do like the Valentines. Richard Barrett and the Valentines produced a lot of great music through the years, into the latter 1960s too, by the way. But really left his mark on this music. Johnny G here for a Saturday evening. We are now in Vinyltreasure Overtime. We are in the year 1960. Now this next 45 was rated in the June 27th, 1960 edition of Billboard magazine. It said this singer helps launch the Pontiac record label off to a swinging start with a bright listener rocker A-side and a rock-a ballad on the flip. Now, he's originally from Brooklyn, New York, and he took vocal lessons at the Juilliard School of Music. Now, this 45 is on Pontiac Records with Eddie Singleton and his orchestra. He goes by the name of Little Augie Austin. Little Augie Austin. This is the intended B-side. I'm featuring the rock-a-ballad side. It's from June of 60 on Pontiac. It's called My Love for You. Wait, wrong side. Wrong side, folks. Hold on a second here. I messed that one up. I'm sorry. I didn't want to play. I want to play the ballad. Wait.
My love for you started long, long ago. With our first embrace, my heart seemed to know my first chance, first romance. My love for you, whoa, my love for you just grows and grows, and with each kiss, like a tide, it flows to the shore. More and more, my love for you. Oh yeah, how I remember that night when you first held me so tight, and how you whispered softly, darling, I love you so. Want you to know that my love for you will never die. I'll be right here, close by your side till the end. Can depend on my love for you. Oh yeah, how I remember that night when you first held me so tight, and how you whispered softly, darling, my love for you will never die. I'll be right here, close by your side till the end. You can depend on my love for you.
Isn't that a great side there by Little Augie Austin and a Group? That's the B side of the 45. Came out on the Pontiac record label June 1960, My Love for You. That's the name of the tune. I don't know how I got mixed up there on the wrong thing there, but anyway, that's the better side. He also has a release on the Brunswick label. I think his name is spelled with one G on that Brunswick release. Johnny G here, Vinyltreasure Overtime. I got to get a request on for a Bopper Boy Warren from 1962, so that'll be the first record in 62. We move into 61, and I can't tell you much about this next group. They're called the Frontiers. Now, not to be confused with the group from New Haven, Connecticut that included Roger Koob. This is a totally different group. This group appears to be from Cincinnati, Ohio. At least they had 3 releases on Sid Nathan's King label, and they were all recorded in 2 sessions in the Cincinnati area. Now, the writer credits on both sides of this are Rudy Toombs, Billy Miles, and Curtis Williams. So there is, I think at this time, Curtis Williams, there was a connection with the Hollywood Flames in New York at the time. They were singing for Atco Records, so there might have been a New York connection here somewhere, but let's give a listen to the intended A-side. It's from August 61. They're called The Frontiers on King. It's called The Nearest Thing to Heaven.
The nearest thing to heaven that I have ever known is a sweet little angel I live to call my own. The nearest thing to heaven my arms will ever is a dear little darling my heart is longing for. The brightest stars in the heaven are reflected in her eyes. The stardust shows and the moonlight glows every time she smiles. The nearest thing to heaven that I will ever see is the sweet little angel here on earth with me. Oh, the sweet little angel here on earth with me.
That's on Sid Nathan's King record label. The Frontiers is the name of the group, and that one there from August 1961. I think that's their first release on the label. The Nearest Thing to Heaven is the name of that one. The Nearest Thing to Heaven is tuning in to Johnny G and the Vinyltreasure Show every Saturday night. Hope you're digging on these cool tunes. We are in the year 1961, and here's another 45. I can't find any info on that, but the writer of both sides goes by the name of George Donald McGraw, and he was a label owner from Salem, Virginia. He owned a few labels, and I'm guessing he owned this one called Trial Records. He was involved with getting the Rocketeens their big hit Woohoo. He came out originally on his label called Doran. Then he cut a deal with Morris Levy. Maybe this 45 is out of the state of Virginia. I don't know, but the group is called the Astronauts. These are the Astronauts. It's from August 61. It's on Trial Records. The name of the tune is called Farewell.
Farewell, farewell. to a smiling angel in a dream of love that's fading away. Oh, love, can't you see? I see your face within those clouds above. I won't leave you sad as you did moonlight, but if you love me, just tell me so. I love you
Call the Astronauts. The Astronauts going up in space, yes, on the Trial record banner, August 61. Song entitled Farewell, not Farewell. Yeah, Warren, your request's coming up in another 2 records. I think we're going to play it. But up next, a debut single for this next group. They're from Philadelphia, PA. They had 13 releases on the Parkway label between the year 1961 and 64. Now, their debut song here, written by the lead singer. His real name is Len Borisov. You know him as Len Barry. We go to Parkway Records. This one from March 61. You know I'm talking about the Dovells. Give a listen to the Dovells from 61. This was their first release. A song entitled No, No, No.
No, 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 don't stop me now. No, 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 don't stop me now. We know where you wanna go, but she's gonna tell you. No, 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 don't stop me now, 'cause I'm on my way to see my baby, to hear her say that she's my baby. Oh, don't stop me now, I'm gonna tell her that I love her.
So that's the debut 45 for Len Barry and the Dovells on the Parkway record label. No, No, No is the name of that one. Came out in March of 1961. Now, this side was re-released as the B-side to their October 63 45, Stop Your Monkeying Around. So Fred, check. You say you have that one. Do you have its Parkway 819 was the first press for that one. Johnny G here doing Vinyl Treasure Overtime, and let's head out to the West Coast again for this act called the Atlantics, who were really a duo. They were Phil Tucker and Delbert Franklin, but they were called the Atlantics. They recorded 2 on the Linda label. They also had one on Linda as Phil and Del. I'm featuring the B-side to their first release. It was written by Gaynell Hodge, a Hollywood flame. Gaynell Hodge wrote this tune, and this one from August of 61. These are the Atlantics on Linda, a song entitled Boo Hoo Hoo.
I'm just a lonely guy. Don't know the reason why. I'm sad as I can be. My head is in a whirl. Because I lost my girl. My heart's in misery. My girl has left me. My girl has gone away. It's true, but it's so hard to find. I just can't get out of my mind. Everything happens to me. And it's so plain to see. My heart's in misery.
They're called the Atlantics. The Atlantics on the Linda label out of Los Angeles, California. August 61 release. Boo Hoo Hoo is the name of that one. This song would be covered by a girl group called the Sachets. Sachets covered this tune later in the year, October of 61. First came out on the Alfie label. Very rare. I don't have it on Alfie. I have the second release on the Zen label. As we continue here in Vinyl Treasure Overtime, up next, a request for Bopper Boy Warren. And this actually, I had this record to play for Warren last week, but he scooted out of the show too quick. Well, not too quickly. Warren has to go, but I mentioned to him I had this record. And he was sticking around. And thank you, Warren, for hanging around. I much appreciate that. But this singer is from Atlanta, Georgia. He had a widespread reputation in the entertainment industry and considered one of the best stage dress designers who provided costumes for a wide variety of people, like from Muhammad Ali to any number of soul singers that were out at the time. Now, his real name was Theodophilus, I think I said that right, Theodophilus George Odell. but he used Gorgeous George as his stage name. Now, his first release came out on the Neptune label back in 1961. He then followed it up with this 45 that I'm featuring on the HAL label, H-A-L-E, HAL Records out of Atlanta, Georgia. It's a song he wrote, this one from 1962, request for Bopper Boy Warren on the HAL label. This is Gorgeous George and the Fabulous Three with a song entitled Teach Me.
Now if I'm not loving you right now, I said if I'm not loving you right now, oh, if I'm not loving you right now, then I want you to, well, now if I'm not kissing you right, little girl, oh, if I'm not kissing you right now, I want to know if I'm not kissing you right now, then I want you to, in the morning, in the nighttime, yeah, the right time, come on and love me, darling, come on and kiss me, baby. You know that I'm a country boy, darling. You know that I'm not a big thing, baby. Yeah. Come on and love me now. Treat me, dog. Yeah. Come on and love me, darling. I love you so much, baby. I didn't know you could treat me like you do. Now look at him. Now if I'm not holding you right, little girl, I said if I'm not holding you right, little girl, oh, if I'm not holding you right now, well then I want you, darling, darling, darling.
As a soulful side there, going out to Bopper Boy Warren from 1962, Gorgeous George and the Fabulous Three. Song entitled Teach Me on the HAL record label, kind of a gospel-y flavor there. When I purchased this 45, I knew it was rare. Out of Atlanta, Georgia. I purchased it for the flip. It's a ballad on the flip side. I'll have to play that on a future show. This is the same HAL label. Remember a couple of weeks ago, I forget who in the video chat wanted to hear that Deeply in Love with You. It's the same label. This is the next record after that, Deeply in Love with You. But this artist, Gorgeous George, he would have later releases on Stax, Peachtree, and the Hallmark record label. Johnny G is here in Vinyltreasure Overtime, and let's continue here. And this next group, they're from Hackensack, New Jersey. This group consisted of Eddie Bryan, Wesley Cook, Linton Davis, Joe Pascuzzo, who I used to purchase 45s from, by the way, and lead singer Dickie Harmon, who was a Facebook friend of your host, Johnny G. And this record came out on the local Technicord record label. And for you collectors out there, it comes both in black vinyl and red vinyl, which is of course more expensive. I'm featuring the red vinyl press for you tonight, the Top Shelf Oldies listeners, and I like both sides of the record, and we're featuring the intended B-side. This is from 62. Give a listen to the Connotations on Technicord, a song entitled Before I Go.
Before I go, won't you give me to steal a kiss from your lips before I go. Won't you tell me one more time? Yeah, oh my darling, that you. Oh, don't you know I love you so? Darling, yes I did. And the stars in the sky, I always have prayed that you'll be your life. You're the girl of my dreams, the one I love, and I love you for now and evermore. Before I go, won't you give me one more kiss? Oh, my darling, if you are with. Oh, but right now I want to steal a kiss from your lips. Before I go. Before I go. Before I
From 1962. Like that record, I really do. The Connotations on the Technichord record label. Before I Go is the name of that one. Yes, the Off Keys also recorded on the Technichord label. Actually, there's two variations on the Off Keys. There is a shiny label and also a flat red label on that, Fred. If you have both of those, also originally came out on the Row label. Yes. And before Johnny G goes, I have two requests to fill. One for Linda Gata, another one for Métis Campo. I got two more requests to go before Johnny G signs off here. Those might be my final two records after this next one here. And this next 45 is out of Inglewood, New Jersey. I don't know if the group is, but I would assume they are. They're called the Artistics, not the same group out of Chicago that recorded on the OK record label. A totally different group. This label is called S&G Records. This is another 45, not easy to find. Came out in November of 1962. Let's give it a whirl here. The Artistics on S&G. It's called Life Begins at 16.
The night we kissed, I felt my heart begin to dream, and suddenly to me it seemed life begins at 16. I
November 62 by a group called The Artistics on the S&G record label. Their tune called Life Begins at 16's. Well, that's their opinion. I don't know what you want to make of that 45. Anyway, it's a rare record on the S&G record label. 2 more 45s to go here before Johnny G signs off. And up next, a request for Linda Gator. I had this record to play last week. I didn't know she was like hiding in the corners of the video chat room. But anyway, she wanted to hear this group from South Philadelphia. Started recording in 1958 with releases on United Artists and also on the Herald labels. They signed with Jamie Records, and this is their first release. It's actually a standard covered by many groups through the years. It was first done, believe it or not, by Paul Whitman, the Paul Whitman Orchestra back in 1927 on the RCA record label, of course, on a 78 if you have it. Anyway, but it features singer Joseph Jr. Parolo on lead, and this is by special request for Linda Gator. She wanted to hear this when we go to December of 1963 on Jamie Records. I wish I found my mint copy, but this is not, so there's some surface noise here. These are the 4Js, the 4Js with their tune, Here I Am, Broken Hearted.
Here in my mind, 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 ball, 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 ball. Here am I, here am I, here am I,
There she goes,
there she goes,
my old gal, and there he goes,
there he goes.
my old pal, and here am I, broken hearted.
Mama, mama, here am I.
She was born in May, is in June, but she forgot mighty soon, and here am I, broken hearted. Well, the last night that we said goodbye, it broke my heart in two. It's not enough, I lost her love, I had to lose him too. Well, there they are, in their joy, happy girl, lucky boy, and here am I, broken hearted. There they go, in their joy, happy girl, lucky boy, and here am I. Oh, now here am I. Come on, look at me. Here am I. Here am I.
I got to hurry up and take that needle off that 45. Somebody named Barry etched his name really bad in the dead wax there. I don't want to ruin my needle, but that's by request for Linda Gator, December 1963, the 4Js. I apologize for the condition. I have a mint copy floating around somewhere in the no humidity basement, but by request, the 4Js on Jamie for Linda Gator, Here I Am, Broken Hearted. And actually, she mentioned in the chat room that Joe Judge Malero of the 4Js passed away just this past weekend. It's sad to hear that, unfortunately. But not a good month or the last couple months for your host, Johnny G, for sure. I lost my aunt, and actually last week, the other day, one of my cousins, she passed away from cancer, only 41, not good. Anyway, but we listen to this music. It brings us back to a good time. We got one more 45 to go. Well, that's going to do it for Johnny G and the Vinyltreasure Show. I want to thank you for joining Johnny G, listening to original vinyl 45s out of my collection. You want to get in touch with Skinny Johnny, send me an email at vinyltreasures@aol.com. Not skinny yet. Got a number of pounds to go. But also recording this one on the OSB. Is that it? Yes, OSB. And it's going to be up on, hopefully, with no copyright infringements like I had last week. If I don't have it, I mean, I could have the copyright, but not the ones where they're, where they're so strict. They're getting stricter for some reason. I don't make any money on this, unfortunately, but hopefully it'll be up. You could also go to my website, vinyltreasures.net. You can stream or download the shows there. At least you'll hear even the records I have to erase out that they don't want me to play. But anyway, that's going to do it. Hope you enjoyed the show. Our closer tonight is actually a request. It's from February of '64. It's for our listener, Métis Campboy. She wanted to hear this wonderful ballad, this group called The Chances, but in reality, The Chances are the Solitaires, with a new bass. The bass is Freddie Donovan. He was the original bass of the Willows. Or I don't know if they're Five Willows because they changed the original bass, but maybe Freddie Donovan was the bass of the Willows when they were on Melba. I'm not sure. But this is a dual lead. Milton Love and Bobby Baylor, they're on lead. The record produced by Buzzy Willis, who's also singing in the group. Our closer tonight, by request, special request for Métis Campboys from February '64, The Chances on Roulette, a song entitled What Would You Say? What Would You Say? Johnny G will be back next Saturday from 10 to midnight right here on Top Shelf Oldies. Please tune in tomorrow evening for my buddy Dave the Rave and his Relics and Rarities show. Dave will be on from 9 to midnight. Cool 60s sounds out of his collection. Another record collector like Johnny G plays mostly originals, but he has some CDs, but he has 2 turntables now, so he plays more records, that is for sure. Listen to all the DJs here on Top Shelf during the week, and I will see you next Saturday at 10 o'clock with more 50s and early 60s 45s out of my show. Thank you again, Charlene, for all your help, and all the listeners. Hope you dug on all the cool tunes tonight. I'll see you next Saturday. Everybody have a safe and happy week. Just want to say, everybody, happy St. Patrick's Day. Just want to say, everybody, so long.
What would you say if I asked you to be mine forever and ever till the end of time? Darling, you're so sweet, so gentle and so kind, What would you say while we're sitting here like this? Oh, better, what would you say if I should ask you for a tender kiss? It would fill our lives so full of heavenly bliss. Our love should be, so nice, so full of sugar, right, touch your smile. I know our love will never end. Whoa, when I kiss your tender lips again, what would you say if I asked you to be mine forever and ever till the end of time? Darling, you're so sweet, so
I've been... Thanks again, folks, for sticking around. Nobody left yet, but appreciate you guys sticking around. I'm off the Top Shelf Oldies thing. I could be playing all night long, but I got to take my shake. And Matey, thank you for this request. It's a great tune, really is. Both sides are good. This is on Roulette Records. It's by The Chances, who are really the Solitaires. What Would You Say? That's a good record. I forget where I got this, at a flea market for like 10 cents. And those days are long gone for sure. Used to find a lot of cool records at the flea markets. But again, and Brian, I'm sure you heard some of the sounds that you know about for sure too, but they're easier to play. Yes, they are. Anyway, that's going to do it, folks. Again, thank you so much. I have to find a couple of requests for a couple people. Ron and Dorothy. I got some more requests coming up next week, and I'm sure Rick will send me some more. And maybe you're welcome to send me requests. I got to find that execs for you, Daryl, and a couple other ones for Warren too that I have to find, and Lino's record too. I'm really looking for that one. But anyway, thanks again, folks. I'll see you next Saturday, and we'll have more records to play. So long, everybody. Bye-bye.